Resume recording. Perfect. So, quick introduction. My name is Warren Miles Pickup. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer and Chief Operations Officer of Pixel True. We're a leading digital design agency specializing in creating high converting websites, landing pages, and other types of digital assets, whether that's white papers, course content, all of those different things. Worked with a lot of brands across various industries to help them optimize their digital presence using marketing psychology, heuristics, and conversion driven design principles. So a little different from what you would traditionally receive with design services, which are meant to make everything look pretty. This is about taking it the next step that it can still look pretty, but it needs to focus on the way in which your consumer makes decisions, that your digital assets need to progress somebody through a process in order to get them to convert and to take action on what it is that we're trying to move them towards. So, with that extensive experience in website UX, sales funnels, and user behavior, I've helped businesses reduce their bounce rates and increase engagement through strategic navigation improvements, which is what is at the core of what we're talking about today. So at Pixel True, we specialize in solving the exact types of challenges, whether it's through better navigation, improved design, or optimizing your website funnels for higher conversions. If at any point during the session you realize that you'd like some expert guidance on your website, we do offer free navigation audits, and I'd be happy to discuss how we can help you after today's session. So let's dive in. I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you about one of the most overlooked but crucial aspects of a website. It's navigation. Your website's navigation isn't just about aesthetics, it's about function. A poorly designed navigation system can confuse visitors, increase your bounce rates, and hurt the conversions that you're receiving on your website. But a well-structured, intuitive navigation system not only keeps users engaged, but it also makes their journey smoother and ultimately leads to significantly higher retention and conversion rates on your website. So today we're going to cover why that navigation matters, some of the common mistakes that businesses make, and some of the actionable steps that you can use to simplify your navigation and optimize your website's performance. So, let's get into why navigation matters. Imagine walking into a massive shopping mall for the first time. You're looking for a specific store, but there are no signs, no directory, and no clear sections for you to follow. It's just an overwhelming maze of storefronts. You wander around aimlessly, frustrated, and eventually decide to leave. Now think about a website, specifically your website. Is your navigation that you've got helping visitors find what they need, or is it sending them into a digital maze? So the navigation on your website is a map of your website. It guides. It's a guide that should effortlessly lead visitors to the most important pages that you have. When it's done right, it creates an intuitive, seamless experience that keeps your users engaged. But when done poorly, it creates that frustration, confusion, and the high bounce rates that you would have if you walked into a mall with no navigation. So here's some of the reasons that it's one of the most critical elements of website success. It helps your visitors find what they need fast. And this is so important in today's day and age where we are absolutely driven by immediate gratification. People make decisions fast. And when they go to a website, they want to be able to get to what it is that they're looking for incredibly fast. So whether they're looking for a specific product, your contact page, a piece of information, clear navigation, it ensures that they don't have to dig for it. And think about Amazon. So no matter what product you want, their structured categories and search bar, make finding it effortless. You go onto their website, you go along the top. If you have something in mind that you're looking for, you can easily find it just by a few intuitive clicks. Having that quick access builds trust with your audience. A confusing navigation structure makes your website feel disorganized, and in our new digital world, confusion breeds distrust. Picture an e-commerce store where the checkout button is hidden or a service website with no clear way to contact support. These are the issues that make visitors hesitant to continue with the conversion process. It keeps visitors on your site longer. Having a clear process keeps visitors on your site longer and increases those conversions. So, a well organized site encourages users to explore more of your pages, engage more with your content, and eventually take action, whether that's signing up, making a purchase, or contacting you for more information. So, sites like Netflix, as an example, they master their navigation by giving users clear categories and recommendations, effortlessly leading them into deeper into the content that's on their site. So, ask yourself this as you look at your website, can a visitor find your key pages in 3 clicks or less? Like 3 clicks is kind of the maximum that we want in terms of points of friction. So each click is considered a point of friction. 3 pages or 3 clicks or less to get to what it is that they're looking for. Is your current navigation cluttered or is it intuitive? Would a first time visitor that's coming to your site immediately understand how to explore your site to find what it is that they're looking for? Think of your website's navigation as your silent salesman. It's either guiding users towards conversion or it's pushing them away. So let's explore how we can simplify and optimize your current navigation. So what happens when navigation goes wrong? Imagine you're walking into a grocery store, but instead of neatly labeled aisles, every product is randomly scattered across the store. There's no signage, there's no logical grouping of items, and there's no way to tell where things are. You'd probably leave in frustration, right? So that's exactly how visitors are feeling when they land on a website with poor navigation. They can't find what they need, so they leave and they leave fast. And when they leave, it costs you. So, lost sales and leads. Studies show that 38% of users will leave a website if it's hard to navigate. If you run an e-commerce store, imagine how many potential buyers abandon their carts simply because they can't find the checkout button or they struggle to locate a product category that they're interested in. Even service-based websites suffer. If visitors can't easily book a call or request a quote, they'll go to a competitor. It also results in higher bounce rates. So, a bounce rate is the percentage of visitors who leave after viewing only one page. If your navigation is unclear, users will give up rather than hunt for the right page. So, a poorly structured website can have bounce rates over 70%. That tells search engines that your site isn't providing a good user experience. What that results in is a damaged reputation and reduced trust. So, visitors judge your website within seconds of arriving. If they find a confusing mess of links, broken pages, or inconsistent menus, they associate that frustration with your brand. That's the mental image they have of your brand when they're going to do business with you. So users who leave disappointed, they don't return. And they certainly don't recommend your site to others. So what's the cost of confusion? A study by the NN Group found that websites with unclear navigation saw a 40% lower conversion rate compared to those with streamlined menus. So, one major retailer improved their checkout flow simply by reducing the number of clicks required to complete a purchase, leading to a 15% increase in revenue. Now, think about if you are having thousands of clicks on your website every single month because you've got great organic traffic or you're paying for ads, that sort of thing. A 40% lower conversion rate means that the money that you're spending on driving all of that traffic, 40% of it is immediately going out the door just because your website isn't clear as to how somebody can get the most value out of it. So consider this. Have you ever struggled to find something on a website and given up? What was that experience like? What could have easily solved that situation? Could your personal website be causing visitors the same frustration? And how many potential customers are leaving your site because they can't find what they need? So the good news is that fixing these navigation issues can have an immediate impact on your engagement and your conversions. And so we're going to look at how bounce rates reveal these navigation problems and what we can do about it. So let's go into bounce rates. So we've established that poor navigation frustrates visitors and pushes them off your website. But how do we measure this? So this is where bounce rates come in. Imagine you own a coffee shop. A customer walks in, glances around, and then immediately walks out without ordering. That's a bounce. So on a website, a bounce happens when a visitor lands on a page and leaves without interacting. No clicking, no scrolling, no exploring other pages. So why does it matter? It's a signal of user dissatisfaction. If people are bouncing, it means they're not finding what they expect or what they need right away. So this is why we talk about things like your menu, your hero section on your page, and why it needs to be compelling as to why somebody should continue to view and engage with your site. So, as an example, maybe the menu structure that you have is confusing. The site loads too slowly, or the information isn't relevant to that particular user. It's going to directly impact your SEO ranking. So, search engines like Google track your bounce rates. If a page has a high bounce rate, it's going to signal to Google that users aren't finding your page helpful, which is then going to hurt your search rankings. It's going to drive you further down on those search pages because Google isn't going to feel like you're going to give the users the best experience. And that's what their search engine is driven for. It's driven for giving users the best experience possible when they're searching for a particular answer. So sites with lower bounce rates are going to rank higher on those search pages because they indicate a better user experience. Bounce rates often point to poor navigation. So one of the most common reasons for a high bounce rate is users can't figure out where to go next. If your menu is cluttered, unclear, or overwhelming, visitors aren't going to take the time to sort through that mess. They'll simply just leave. So what's considered a high bounce rate? If you're in the 20 to 40% range, you could consider that excellent. This is typically seen on well-structured service-based sites. If you're in the 41 to 55% range, that's fairly average. So most sites are going to fall in that range. 56 to 70%, that's a pretty high bounce rate. That's going to indicate that you have navigation or content issues that aren't meeting the needs of the users that are or the visitors that are coming to your page. If it's 70% plus, this is problematic. So this is going to be common for blogs, but it's a huge red flag for e-commerce and service sites. So let's say you run a blog with a 75% bounce rate. This is likely to mean that the visitors that land on your article, they don't see any clear links leading them to other relevant content. Your navigation is cluttered and people don't know where to go next. Your site has broken links or outdated information, making users distrustful and likely to leave. So what does that mean for your website? That high bounce rate is a warning sign that your site's navigation isn't as intuitive as you think. The good news, once we simplify the navigation and improve the user experience, those bounce rates tend to drop significantly, bringing in more engagement, more leads, and more conversions. So let's dive into the specific navigation mistakes that cause visitors to bounce and how we can fix those. So now that we understand what a high bounce rate means, let's dive into those mistakes. So imagine you walk into a library where all the books are piled randomly on the floor. There's no directory, no signs. It doesn't make any sense. You'd probably walk right out. So that's exactly how users are feeling when they land on a website with poor navigation. So what are some of the most common navigation pitfalls that drive high bounce rates? One is cluttered menus. So it's an overload problem. Have you ever been onto a website with a navigation bar packed with 15 plus drop-down options? Instead of helping users, this overwhelms them, making it harder to decide where to go. So the best practice, limit your primary menu to 5 to 7 clear options. Amazon, for example, groups products into broad, intuitive categories that simplify decision-making. Number two, you have broken links or 404 errors. These are dead ends for the user. Nothing frustrates a visitor more than clicking on a link and getting to a page not found error. It's an immediate trust killer. So every broken link is a lost opportunity. It damages trust, it disrupts the user journey, and it increases those bounce rates. So as a best practice, you should be regularly auditing your site using tools like Google Search Console or Broken Link Checker to ensure that all of the links on your website are working properly. Another issue is inconsistent layouts. So this is changing the rules mid-game, essentially. If your menu changes from page to page, users are going to feel lost. Imagine shopping online where the cart button keeps moving around. You get frustrated trying to find it each time. So the best practice is to keep your navigation elements consistent across all of your pages. The same placement, the same font, and the same naming conventions so that there's a consistent user experience, a consistent brand experience through your overall website. Next would be using confusing labels or jargon. So, if your customer is asking, what does solutions even mean? That's a problem. So, have you ever landed on a site with vague menu labels like explore or solutions? If users aren't intuitively understanding what a menu item means, they're less likely to click on it. So, best practices, you should be using clear, descriptive labels like our services instead of vague words like discover. Make sure that you are building your menu based on the terms that your ideal client profile is using in their everyday language. Make it intuitive for them to know exactly where to go. Speaking of which, next issue, you don't have a clear path forward. Your user or visitor is asking, where do I go next? When a visitor lands on your site, they should instantly know what to do next. If your website is lacking a visible call to action or a CTA or those logical next steps, users will leave instead of guessing. They're not interested in trying to sort out what it is that they need to do next. They want you to tell them. You are the professional in this situation that is guiding them towards the solution. So, best practice, you should be guiding visitors with prominent CTAs like shop now, get a free quote, schedule a call. Anything that is going to tell them what the next step is that they should be taking to engage and get more value out of you. So, a real world example, working on a restaurant website with confusing menus. So, a local restaurant redesigned its website to showcase its history, but instead of a clear menu button, they had our culinary journey, which most users didn't realize led to the food menu. This led to a 20% drop in online orders, and by simply renaming the page to View Our Menu, it increased engagements by 35%. So, what's the takeaway? Your navigation needs to be simple, intuitive, and frustration free. The moment a visitor has to think too hard about where to click, they're already considering leaving. So, let's move on to how we fix these problems. So now that we've identified the most common navigation pitfalls, let's focus on these solutions. The key to keeping visitors engaged is to simplify their journey. The less effort, the less friction it takes to find what they need, the more likely they are to stay, explore, and convert. So imagine you're visiting a theme park for the first time. There are clear directional signs, a map at the entrance, and helpful guides pointing you towards the attractions that you want to see. You're going to feel comfortable, confident, and ready to enjoy the experience. That's what you want your website to feel like. So, a couple of things. Streamline the user experience. Make it effortless for them. Keep navigation minimalistic. 5 to 7 primary menu items is the max. Question: what are the best tools we can use? That's a slide in about 3 or 4 slides, so I'll come back to that one. So streamline user experience, make it effortless. Keep navigation minimalistic, 5 to 7 primary menu items. Avoid overloading your users with way too many drop downs or links. Group all of your related pages under logical categories that are in the terminology that your consumer, your ideal customer profile already uses. So as an example, Walmart reduced their bounce rate by 25% simply by simplifying product categories and making it easier for customers to browse their website. Next, improve your search engine rankings by having Google reward simplicity. So Google is tracking your user experience, and those websites with clear navigation and low bounce rates are going to rank higher in search results. So reduce that friction by eliminating any broken links and ensuring every page is accessible in 3 clicks or less. After restructuring its navigation menu, one of an e-learning platform that we worked with saw a 30% improvement in organic search rankings just by making their user experience, by improving their user experience. So, boost conversion rates by guiding users to their next action point. Every page should have a clear next step, whether it's a buy now, contact us, learn more, read this article, read this white paper, whatever it may be. You have to guide visitors by using breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs are essentially a trail showing users where they are and where they're going. And well-placed CTAs are the best possible course of action that you can provide your users with. So a software company that simplified its website structure and added a sticky request a demo button led to a 40% increase in those demo signups and significantly more leads for them. The next step is to test and iterate. So, what works best for your audience? Use heat maps like Hotjar to track where users are clicking most often. You can also use different tools that recognize where the eye is drawn to. So certain heat maps will also identify what design features on your website are drawing the eye, so you can tell where people are looking very quickly on your website, and that's where you want to be putting things like CTAs so they're drawn to their next course of action. So I would suggest conducting A/B testing on different menu structures to see which layout keeps visitors engaged. So as an example, Airbnb improved its homepage layout after testing how users interacted with filters and navigation, which led to a 15% increase in bookings. And you can imagine how many people are visiting their site. 15% is a massive increase. So final thoughts about this. Navigation isn't just about making your website look good. It's about removing the obstacles between your visitors and their goals. Remember, you are building a website to accomplish something for your ideal client. You're not doing it just to sell a product. You want to make it intuitive to the users so they can get to the solution they are looking for. So if your website feels as effortless as booking a flight on Expedia or browsing Netflix, your bounce rates are going to drop, your engagement is going to rise, and those conversions are going to follow. So, couple questions here. Can AI play a huge role in this? How can we utilize them? Yes, absolutely. By feeding the right information into AI. So, okay, take a step back. AI is a fantastic tool, but you have to put the information into AI that you are looking for, because AI is always going to feed you back the simplest answer based on the question that you are asking. If you are not getting deeper into the questions that you're asking it, giving it a better prompt. So if I just ask, how can I improve my website navigation? It's going to give you a very simple answer. If you feed in, I am looking to create a website navigation that is intuitive as possible, reduces friction, and gives my users access to any website within 3 clicks. How do I do this in my current navigation, right? And then feed in the way that your current navigation looks through providing a sitemap, that sort of thing. It is going to give you a significantly better answer than if you just ask a simple question. What you feed into AI is going to give you a significantly better response. Another question, is it advisable to not make it too wordy? Absolutely. We talked about this like in terms of jargon and using the language that your customers already use. You definitely do not want to make things too wordy. You want to make it easy for them to understand based on the language that they are accustomed to, how they are going to then get that information and get the solution that they're looking for. So let's keep going, and let's talk about keeping it clear and concise. So your menu is the roadmap for your website, guiding all of your visitors where they need to go. If it's too complex, vague, or cluttered, those visitors are going to get lost and the visitors are going to leave. So here's how we can design an intuitive, high-converting navigation menu. One is to keep it minimal. So less is more. The best performing websites are limiting their menu, again, to the 5 to 7 items. Creating too many choices, it creates decision fatigue, right? You get analysis paralysis, which results in people just leaving the site. So as an example, Netflix is going to keep it simple with a few core menu options: home, TV shows, movies, my list, right? You as a user instantly know where you want to go based on what your search intent is. Excuse me. Also use descriptive labels like clarity over cleverness, avoiding vague menu labels like solutions or discover. They don't tell users what they should expect from making that click. This goes for CTAs as well. You want to use descriptive action words based on what the user is going to accomplish when they take that next step. So shop now instead of browse, our services instead of what we do, get a quote instead of let's talk, right? A good example of this would be Shopify. So Shopify's navigation includes incredibly clear categories like start, sell, market, manage, making it easy for business owners to find the relevant resources that they need. Ensuring consistency across all your pages. Talked about this a little bit before. If your menu changes from one page to another, visitors are going to lose their bearings. You need to keep the same structure, font, and placement across all your pages so users know where to look. Next, make sure you are optimizing for mobile users. Okay, this is huge. I would suggest designing with mobile intent at the forefront. More than 60% of the average website's traffic is mobile. So your navigation needs to be mobile friendly. You can use hamburger menus, so that's the three lines, to keep the interface clean but still very accessible. Ensure that your drop-down menus and clickable elements are large enough for users to tap easily, and make sure, we talked about this in my previous webinar, make sure they're within the swing area of your thumb, right? Most users are one-handing their phone and they have a particular area that they're going to be able to reach with their thumb. So if you're constantly burying things in the top left corner, they're not going to be able to get there. They're going to have to use a second hand, which is going to result in higher bounce rates. So think about the intention of the user that you are focused on. Using sticky navigation for easy access. So a sticky fixed menu bar stays visible at the top of the page, even when users scroll down. It makes it easier to navigate without scrolling back up, which improves the usability and reducing the frustration of your visitors. So here's a real world example. So how creating simple navigation increased conversion. So a fashion retailer reduced their navigation bar from 12 menu items to 6 core categories. The small change led to 27% longer session durations, so improved user experience, an 18% decrease in bounce rates. So their users weren't overwhelmed. They wound up sticking around and taking action, which leads to higher conversions. And as a result of that, they had a 21% increase in the conversions because their users found their products faster. 21% increase in online sales. What would that do for your business if you made that change? So the clean, clear navigation isn't just about aesthetics. It's about guiding visitors efficiently so that they can take the action that they want. So let's talk about organizing that content effectively. Think of your website like that well-organized supermarket, right? When you walk in, you don't see random products scattered everywhere. Instead, everything is categorized logically. Produce in one section, dairy in another, and the checkout lanes are all clearly marked, right? So your website should follow the same logic. If visitors have to think too hard about where to find something, they're going to leave. So here's how you create an effective information architecture. So group related pages under clear categories. Think about how users search for information. Would they expect a single products tab, or would they prefer separate categories for each product type? So an example, a clothing store should structure its navigation as top menu item, menu, or men, and then shirts, pants, jackets. Top menu, women, and then dresses, tops, accessories. Kids, boys, girls, baby. This is really clear information architecture that people can follow based on what it is that they are searching for. You also want to prioritize key pages and reduce the clicks that it takes to get there. So the most important pages, like your product page, your contact page, any sign-up forms, need to be easily accessible from the main menu. So fewer clicks. If it takes more than 3 clicks to reach a key page, you're going to be losing users. So a quick question by Clear and Concise: is there a maximum number of words recommended, such as the title, the headings, etc.? In terms of titles, you kind of want them to be either the length of one line or 2 lines condensed, 2 to 3 lines condensed into a reduced portion of your page. In terms of in the menu, they should probably be no more than 2 or 3 words for a menu item. If they're going to be longer than that, you're not necessarily using the right words that your user is expecting to find. Make sure that you are using the words and the language that somebody is already using for search intent when they go to Google or when they go to AI. How are they asking the question of what it is that they're trying to find, and use the same verbiage, the same jargon that somebody is already searching for. Um, so we talked about prioritizing the reduction of clicks, breadcrumb navigation for easy backtracking. So breadcrumbs are small text paths. So as an example, home, men, jackets, leather jackets, that show users where they are and allow them to backtrack really easily. Think about if you're using the File Explorer on your computer, how it has the categories and the file system, the mother-daughter system that you use, and you can go back one file without having to go all the way back to the beginning and start your search all over again. If you're forcing people to go back and follow that whole process again, you're going to lose them because it's frustrating. You want to ensure also that by doing this, you are also ensuring that it is going to help improve your SEO by creating internal links. And it's going to improve your user experience by showing them the context of what they search through. You also want to make your navigation scannable with mega menus. So if your site has a large inventory, like an e-commerce store, Amazon, consider using mega menus. So these are drop-down menus with multiple sections for easier browsing, in order to give people an easy way to get access to the categories that they're looking for. So some of the best practices for this are using clear headers and categories, keeping the sections well spaced. So avoid cramming everything together. Just from a UI perspective, you want to make sure that it's easy for people to click, and show the most popular or featured links to highlight your key products. Next is you want to be guiding users with internal links and those calls to action. We talked a little bit about this before. So instead of pages leading to kind of like a dead end in their journey, you want to make sure that you're offering the next step that they should be taking in order to get more value from you. So, as an example, looking for more, check out our best sellers or read customer reviews on this product. You also, when you're doing this, make sure that if you are sending somebody off page, as an example, to your social media links, have it open a new tab. Do not have them leave your website. And this is something that I'm seeing on a number of websites lately, where instead of having it open a new tab, it's driving users off of the website to some other platform. You're not going to get them back from that platform. Each platform is designed to keep people there. And so if you are sending people away and not keeping your website open, they're not going to return to it in order to take the conversion actions that you want. Um, so, you know, an intuitive content structure like this, what we just talked about, it's not just helpful, it's essential for that engagement, and it's going to drive higher conversions and give you better SEO results. So if users can't find what they need in seconds, they're going to leave. So, talked about mobile a little bit earlier. If your navigation isn't optimized for mobile users, you're alienating more than half of your audience. So imagine visiting a website on your phone, but the menu is too small to tap accurately. You have to zoom in just to read the text, or it takes forever to load and you get frustrated waiting. What are you going to do? You're going to leave. So that's why mobile friendly navigation it's no longer optional. It's a requirement for building your site. So here's some tips on how you can make sure your website navigation is optimized for mobile users. So simplify your menus for small screens. Desktop navigation often uses full width menus, but on mobile, space is incredibly limited. So use a hamburger menu, which is a compact menu that expands when tapped, to keep the interface clean. As an example, when you go on to Facebook and YouTube, both rely on hamburger menus to keep navigation accessible without overwhelming your screen. Number two, use clickable finger-friendly elements. So mobile users are navigating with their thumbs, so buttons, links, and menus need to be large enough to tap easily. We're not doing this precise clicking. We're generally tapping with our thumbs. So you need to make sure that those buttons are going to be at least 48 by 48 pixels, and you need to avoid placing links too close together so you're not getting accidental clicks. That's incredibly frustrating for mobile users, particularly when it's popping open a new tab and they're changing screens. Number three, you want to prioritize fast loading speeds. So 53% of users are going to abandon a site if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load. So some best practices would be optimizing your images. So reducing file sizes by using WebP image formats instead of JPEGs, minimizing animations, or only loading images. That's using lazy loading. Avoiding minimizing those animations or heavy scripts, things that are heavy in terms of HTML script, because that your first contentful paint, your largest contentful load are going to take a really long time, which is going to frustrate mobile users who are very accustomed to fast load times. The other thing is using lazy loading. So that's when the images only load when they're needed. So your whole web page doesn't automatically get loaded up. It's as you scroll, those images get loaded in based on the scroll that you're doing. Number four, make search incredibly accessible. So many mobile users are preferring to use search rather than the navigation through menus. So place a prominent search bar at the top of your screen, ideally with autofill suggestions. A good example of this is Etsy helps users find what they need really fast with predictive search that suggests results as they type. The fifth thing would be using sticky navigation for quick access. So sticky navigation keeps most important menu items visible as your users scroll, so they don't have to scroll back up to get to that menu. So what's a real world example? A leading fashion retail redesigned their mobile site by switching to a hamburger menu and increasing the button sizes for easier tapping. They sped up their page by a total page load time by 40%. The result was a 32% increase in mobile sales and a 23% drop in bounce rates. It's a huge difference that simple changes like this can make. So a mobile-friendly navigation system makes it easier for your users to browse, to find your products, and to take action, which directly impacts their engagement and the conversions that you're going to experience. So you want to make your navigation intuitive, and I've mentioned this a few times. It's not just about structure, it's about the visual hierarchy. So this means designing your website in a way that naturally guides your user's eye to the most important actions. Think about a well-designed airport, an example. You have large, bold signs that direct you to your gates. The important areas like security and baggage claim really stand out on that signage. And the most critical information like departures times, delays, that sort of thing are instantly noticeable when you look around. Your website needs to do the same thing. It needs to visually lead your users towards the most important actions, whether that's signing up, purchasing, or learning more based on the process that you want them to take. Think about the journey that they're going to be taking when they come to your website. So here's how you can use visual hierarchy to improve your navigation. First way is size and scale. So make important elements stand out. Larger elements get noticed first. So use this to highlight primary menu items and CTAs. Number two, color and contrast. So this guides the user's intention. Color helps differentiate important links from less crucial content. So a couple best practices: use high contrast colors for call to action buttons and keep background colors neutral so that navigation elements stand out. I was working with a consultant recently on this, and we're building out their landing page, their homepage. And what we did is we changed the keywords, the words that we really want a user to take notice of, into a blue color so that it stood out from the rest of the content. It gave a really clear step-by-step process for what it is that we wanted them to read and how we wanted them to interpret the information with the emotions we wanted them to feel as they went through the process. Okay, number three, placement. The position matters. Users read your web page in an F-shaped or a Z pattern. Their eyes first scan the top bar, then move left to right. And so the best practices for this are place important menu items and CTAs in highly visible zones based on these reading patterns. You want to use sticky headers so that the navigation bar stays visible while scrolling. Okay. Number 4 is white space. Less clutter, more focus. Cluttered menus overwhelm users. White space, so using empty space, makes key elements stand out. So avoid cramming too many menu items into your navigation bar and keep spacing between those menu items generous so each stands out. I've got some questions here. How do we measure successful conversion rates? I will come back to that because that's a really good question that we're going to talk about in a minute. And is it advisable to use our brand colors? Yes, absolutely. That should be a part of the branding process that you go through. Is how are you going to use your brand colors in the different features on your website? So, what is your menu brand color going to look like? What are your CTA brand colors? Making sure that you have a very clear visual hierarchy in your brand. In your brand design is a very, very important part of developing your brand process. Okay. Number 5. So icons and visual cues. You want to reinforce the understanding of the visitor. So icons help users process information faster than text alone, right? A picture is worth 1,000 words. So think about those icons that you're using needs to accurately represent the information that you're presenting in text format below it. So use universally recognized icons. Example, using a shopping cart for cart or a magnifying glass for search. Pair those icons with that text for clarity. So if you have contact, you might want the icon for a phone there as an example. It really does make it stand out. So that they can understand the intention behind it through utilizing iconography. So, if your navigation is blending into the background, your visitors aren't going to engage with it. But if you can use size, color, placement, and white space strategically when you're building out your navigation, you can make that navigation really intuitive, effortless for your visitor, and very conversion friendly. So let's discuss adding a search bar to your site. Um, so a question here on branding. If branding is no longer the trend, should we rebrand our website? Yes. It changes. Like as an example, Pixel recently went through a rebrand. Our previous website highly used cartoon style imagery because for a number of years that was a very, very popular methodology for having people visualize themselves on your website, right? It connected and was a methodology for using empathy in website design. Users have moved away from that, and they don't necessarily recognize themselves in the imagery of cartoons anymore or animation as much as they do in real imagery and AI based imagery now. They're much more able to visualize themselves. They're able to visualize their problems, and so Pixel True itself went through a full rebrand in order to ensure that we matched how consumers or how visitors are consuming at this point in time. So rebranding is a good idea if your content and your style is now outdated. So let's talk about search bars. So even sites with the best navigation systems are going to require an alternative methodology for people to be able to find what it is that they're looking for. And so some users are going to prefer utilizing a search directory rather than going through a navigation menu. If they don't see a clear search option, they might get frustrated and leave. So imagine walking into a huge department store looking for a specific item. There are aisles and categories, but you're in a rush. You don't want to see a store associate for help. You just want to type in what you need and go straight to it. So that's exactly what a search bar is doing for your website. It's eliminating those points of friction, and it gets users to their goal faster and gets them to that conversion point faster. Think about, one of the ultimate goals we have in designing websites is reducing the sales process that somebody has to get from introduction to conversion. And a search bar can be a very vital tool in doing that. So there's a lot of users that prefer searching over browsing. So studies are showing that up to 43% of website visitors use the search bar as their primary navigation tool. So users who search are often more likely to convert because they know exactly what they are looking for. This is search intent-based sales. So if your site has a lot of content, services, or products, that search bar is going to be essential. Think about Amazon. It relies on its search function as a primary navigation system. Most users aren't browsing through the categories. They search for what they're looking for first, and it's going to reduce your bounce rates. If a user can't find something within a few seconds, they're going to leave. A visible, functional search bar is going to prevent that frustration and keep them engaged. So how do you optimize your search functionality? Number one, prominent placement. Put the search bar in the header so it's always visible. Number two, auto suggestions. Help users find what they need faster with predictive text. Number three, filters and sorting. Allow users to narrow down search results by category, price, or relevance to their search topic. Number four, mobile optimization. So ensure that search is easy to tap and it's not hidden inside of a menu. Number five, error handling. If no results are found, suggest alternative searches instead of showing no results. No results is that 404, that dead end that causes people to leave. You want to give them an alternative and drive them back into the process, those breadcrumbs that you've been walking them through. Okay. So a well-designed search bar is like a GPS for your website. It's going to help your users find exactly what they need instantly and reduce those points of friction. So even the best navigation systems aren't one and done. It's going to require continuous testing and improvement. So we would recommend that you utilize A/B testing to compare your menu designs. So A/B testing lets you test two versions of your navigation to see which is going to perform better. So your best practice is going to be to test menu structures, test your CTA placements, test your drop-down options, and test the button text to optimize that navigation. You'll be able to go back and see which one created the best results, and then go further down that road and continue to A/B test based on what you've learned about your users and what their intention is. Number two, use heat maps to better understand your users' behavior. So heat maps essentially share where users are clicking, where they're scrolling, where they're hovering, where they're looking, and it helps you to identify the friction points on your page. So a best practice would be to use tools like Hotjar or Crazy Egg to visualize the user interactions on your website. Number three, you want to analyze those bounce rates and user flow by utilizing Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is a Google provided free service that allows you to track where users drop off and which pages have high bounce rates. Make sure that you are regularly checking your user flow reports and adjusting the navigation on your site accordingly based on the information you are getting back from your users. Number four, get direct feedback from real users. So run a usability test where you get real users to navigate your site and share your thoughts on it. Get somebody like us to do a navigation audit and tell you a little bit about what's happening when somebody goes onto your site. It's a great way to understand how somebody who is a brand new user is experiencing what you have built. So you could use surveys, interviews, or you can have people like us run an audit and tell you a little bit about the navigation pain points. Another thing to do, so step 5 would be to monitor your mobile versus desktop performance. So that navigation needs to differ on mobile versus desktop based on what is going to work well for each one individually. What works well for one is probably not going to work well for the other. So make sure that you're testing mobile specific navigation and those changes separately from desktop. Separate those two. So, the key to great navigation isn't just designing it, it's continually improving it. So, testing, tweaking, and refining your site regularly to ensure users have the best experience possible. Got another question here. Is A/B testing costly? Not really. You're using essentially templates across the two pieces, and it's something that you can do over an extended period of time. It's not something that you need to do all at once. In fact, you don't want to do A/B testing across your entire site at once. You want to test different aspects to understand how they are changing things. So if I change my navigation menu, I change my search bar, I change my CTAs, I change my copy, I change my imagery all at once, I'm not going to know which one had the impact. What I want to do is change each one individually and allow a number of users to come through so that I can see the impact, right? Typically, 100 to 1,000 users is going to be adequate to determine what the impact is of a change. So test it across a feature consistently across your pages and see that how that has impacted it. And then keep track of all those results so that you can see which one's working best. Okay. Hopefully that helps answer the question. So let's talk about a success story. So one of the organizations that we worked with is a company called Flora Couture. So it's a high-end floral design company that specializes in luxury arrangements and event decor. They had a beautifully designed website, but one of the features that was causing problems was an overwhelming navigation, and it led to high bounce rates and a number of lost sales. So the navigation menu had too many categories and subcategories, which made it difficult for customers to find specific products that they were looking for. The checkout process was complicated and it required multiple unnecessary steps. And their mobile navigation was clunky that caused frustration for mobile shoppers who made up the majority of their traffic. So, what did we do? We simplified the navigation menu by reducing the number of categories from 12 to 6, making them very intuitive sections. We added a bestsellers section to guide customers to the most popular arrangements quickly, essentially also providing social proof, which is a great heuristic that reinforces their buying decisions. And we improved the mobile experience by implementing the hamburger menu and optimizing the checkout process for fewer clicks. We also did a number of other things like adding a users also bought and those sorts of things. But the result was that we had a 40% decrease in bounce rates. So customers stayed longer and explored more pages. It was a 128% increase in the amount of time that they spent on those pages, and it resulted in a 321% increase in conversions. So significantly more visitors completed their purchases. It was a huge increase in their amount of sales. And it also led to a faster checkout completion, which, then increases conversions as well. So they didn't have as many cart abandonments. So what's the key takeaway? Simplifying your navigation it doesn't just make a site easier to use, it directly impacts the user's engagement, their conversions, and the sales that you have on your site. So by streamlining this approach, we allowed customers to quickly find what they needed and to complete their purchase with minimal friction. So what are some tools that you can use? I would suggest looking at a couple of these different tools. So just like a chef needs the right tools to perfect a dish, you need the right digital tools to refine your site's navigation and enhance your user experience. One, Google Analytics. We talked a little bit about this before. This is how you can track user behavior. So Google is going to analyze your bounce rates and your user flow to identify the problem areas that you have. It's going to show which pages visitors drop off from the most, so you know which pages you need to improve. Yeah, so Google Analytics is free, and I'll try and give you some other free tools as well. So I would use Google Analytics for tracking your high exit pages and then going back and fixing those pages, measuring how navigation changes impact session duration. So if you're changing your navigation bar, how long are people staying? Is it reducing your bounce rate? That sort of thing. And then understanding how the users move through your site. Is there a particular page that they're exiting on because they don't know where to go next? And is changing that navigation resulting in them moving through more pages on your website? Hotjar, as an example, provides heat maps showing user clicks, scrolls, and where they're hovering. It includes session recordings so you can watch real user interactions. This is a paid one, but it is very valuable. You can use it for identifying the menu items that are ignored or underused, which may cause you to, uh, it may make you want to change the text that you're using for that menu item because it might not be scratching that itch that your user has in terms of what it is that they're looking for. You can use it to find dead ends where users have decided to stop engaging, and you can test different navigation structures to see what works. Figma, fantastic tool for design and prototyping navigation layouts. We use Figma all the time. Allows you to mock up new menu designs before implementing them. Helps with collaboration so your teams can visualize and refine navigation ideas. This is the primary design tool that we use at Pixel and how when we're building something for our clients, how we're showcasing that to them. They can put comments on it. We can share feedback. It's a great tool. Crazy Egg. So lets you test different versions of your menu and see which one performs the best. It's going to provide scroll maps and engagement data for you to refine your navigation, and helps you tweak button placement, menu labels, and layouts for your clients. Another one that I don't have on here as a logo, but is Screaming Frog. So it's going to help you to find and fix navigation errors. So it's going to crawl your site to find broken links, 404 errors and redirects, essentially identifying the navigation issues that could be hurting your SEO and your user experience. So I would definitely take a look at that. Another one that's free is Google's Site Speed tool. If you put in your URL in their Site Speed tool, it will tell you all of the technical kind of SEO data points, like your first contentful paint, your largest contentful paint, your page load speed. It'll give you a breakdown of your SEO, that kind of stuff, so that you can very clearly see what are the technical aspects of your website that may be resulting in a decrease in organic traffic, causing you, or because you're being ranked lower in SEO rankings. So, quick recap of some of these navigation tips because I've now gone my half an hour and I want to leave time for additional questions. So, keep your menu items clear and concise. So, limit your primary menu items to 5 to 7 options to avoid overwhelm. Make sure you're using those descriptive labels, so no vague terms like solutions or discover, and maintain that consistency in your menu across all pages so your users know where to look. Organize your content logically. So using a very well structured information architecture. Group your related pages under clear categories. Use breadcrumb navigation wherever possible to help users track where they are and how they got there. And prioritize your key pages and make sure that they are accessible within 3 clicks. Third, optimize for mobile users. So use hamburger menus to keep the interface clean. Ensure clickable elements are large enough for easy tapping. Remember that 48 by 48 pixel number. Improve your load speed. A 3+ second delay can cause 53% of your users to leave. Make sure you're leveraging visual hierarchy. So use larger fonts and buttons for primary navigation elements. Apply color contrast to highlight key actions like buy now buttons or get more information, book a call, and make sure you're positioning important navigation elements where the eye naturally scans. Remember that F layout pattern. Next is adding a search bar for convenience. Make sure you're placing the search bar in the header so that it's always visible. Use auto suggestions to help users find what they need faster, and ensure those search results are relevant and well organized. You also want to be continuously testing and improving. So using heat maps like Hotjar, running A/B tests, and monitoring your bounce rates and user behavior in Google Analytics. So, great navigation isn't just about making things look good. It's about removing the points of friction and guiding your users towards the action that they are looking to perform. So, small changes like simplifying a menu or improving search can lead to massive improvements in engagement and conversions. So, if you're ready to see how that navigation, how you can improve conversions, how you can improve your user experience, it's time to take action. So at Pixel True, we specialize in designing websites, landing pages, digital assets that are not only visually stunning, but are also optimized for user engagement and conversions. So if you're struggling with high bounce rates that are costing you sales, a confusing navigation that frustrates your visitors, or a mobile experience that isn't converting, we can help. So here's how we can get you started. Um, Reach out to me and request a free navigation audit. I will provide you with a breakdown of your website's navigation, your CTAs, those sorts of things, so that you can identify and understand the points on your website that are causing friction and resulting in lower conversions. So we'll analyze your website, provide custom recommendations, improve your user flow, simplify your menus, and reduce that friction. We will book a consultation with you to walk you through it. No hard sales pitch. It's all about value. We believe that if users and people find value in what we're providing, you're going to inherently desire to do business with us because you know that we are going to be driving a higher ROI for you than what we're receiving for ourselves. That is always our goal, is to perform at a level where you get more out of every interaction than we do. So let's discuss your specific navigation challenges and how we can optimize your site to drive higher engagement and sales. So you can get a step-by-step checklist to implement the best practices that we've covered today. We'll be sending that out by email. So why would you work with Pixel True? We've got proven results. We've helped businesses like Flora Couture. We've helped businesses like KPMG. We have helped all kinds of businesses experience lower bounce rates and significantly higher conversions. We are an organization where design meets strategy. Our approach combines heuristics, cognitive biases, and conversion driven design to maximize impact. Additionally, we are always looking at continuous optimization. We don't just fix navigation, we test it, we analyze it, and we iterate to ensure ongoing success for your business. So, your website's navigation is the difference between users bouncing and users converting. If you want to get higher engagement, lower bounce rates, and more revenue, let's make it happen. Make sure that you are reaching out to me and scheduling a free navigation audit today. You can send me an email. All of the emails that you've gotten have come from my email address. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I would be happy to help. So thank you so much for joining me today. I know I've got a couple more questions here. I will answer those in just a second. Thanks for joining me. I hope you found these strategies valuable and that you're excited to implement them on your own website. If you have any questions, drop them in the Q&A now. I'll be answering as many as possible. If you want hands-on help, schedule a free navigation audit with me and my team so that we can identify those friction points and optimize your site for conversions. Please stay connected. So follow Pixel True on social media for more tips on website design, conversion optimization, and user experience. And if you're serious about improving your website's performance, let's talk. My team is ready to help you so that we can create a seamless user experience that helps keep your visitors engaged and drives results. So again, thank you for your time, and I look forward to answering some more of your questions. Okay, question. Are websites still useful despite the existence of other social media platforms? Absolutely. A social media platform is designed to keep users on their platform. They get paid more by pushing advertising to users. You need to get those users off of that platform and onto your platform, your website, so that you can convert them. Social media platforms are not designed for conversion. They are designed for attention, right? So the stuff that you put onto social media is all about grabbing enough attention and making it valuable enough for that user that they want to follow the breadcrumbs to your website to get more and more value. Okay. Your website is an incredibly important part of your sales process. It is your silent salesman. It is where people get their first bit of information and they have their first experience with your brand. So make sure that you have a website that is doing exactly that. It's driving that social media interaction. That's your top of funnel into those next steps so that they can move up your product ladder and get the most value from you and your organization possible. Um, let's see. Any other questions, anybody? I think I've gotten through them all. Wow, pretty good. Um, Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody attending. We'll be sending out a recording. Please do feel free to share this with everybody or anybody that you think it would be valuable for. I will also be posting this on our YouTube to be shared there. If there's anything else that you would like, please reach out to me. I'm really excited to be able to help anybody that is interested in learning a little bit more about how they can improve conversion rates on their website. So we will stop this now.